Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining us. The entire process to build a long-lasting brand on Amazon that generates $10,000 a month in passive income. That's my goal for you guys by the end of this webinar. We're really going to get through a lot of the details. Like I said, there is a lot of details, so make sure that you guys are taking some notes and make sure you guys have some questions that you write down. Drop them in the chat. I'm going to be around after the webinar, and I'm going to go through all the questions, answer them from A to Z, and I'm going to go in detail as well. Like I said, I'll have links for you guys. We're going to take care of you. So, like I said, if you guys are just new to the webinar, if you're just joining, my name is Andre. I curated Success to Selling. I actually quit my full-time job. My anniversary of 5 years was just a few weeks ago. And I have a few different businesses. I always wanted to be a business owner. And today I now own 4 businesses inside and out of the e-commerce space. And I'll actually just touch on a few of my businesses and, how I've been actually able to start and generate businesses with different capital, and kind of my journey, because we all have to start somewhere. And it's kind of interesting to see everyone's origin, where they start, because we're all different. We all have different stories. We all have different backgrounds. My journey won't be the same as yours, but there's definitely lessons to be learned along the way that you can take from this webinar. Your first thing, and one of the most important things, is you need motivators. You need to find your reason why. What is motivating you to quit your full-time job, become an entrepreneur, build an empire of whatever you're really trying to do? And for me, I have a few. The number one thing that's most important to me is my family. This is a picture of my wife and I. We really work well together within our business. And, part of the reason I do what I do to be an entrepreneur, to really develop these businesses, is because I want to be able to spend time and do things with her. We have so much fun together. And she's always just such a motivator, because you're going to have ups and downs in your journey, and you need someone there to kind of push you along a little bit, give you some motivators. Next on your reason why, you should have something that is materialistic. And a lot of people say money can't buy you happiness, and it's true to an extent, but I always say neither can poverty. So find something materialistic that you strive for. You should have other things in your life besides the financial freedom, right? So for me, it's cars. I know I probably sound just like a normal car guy, but I am just a normal car guy, right? I'm just a normal person that's been able to leverage my businesses to buy fun things. Like, this is my car that I can bring on a track and, have a lot of fun with. So find something that's materialistic to you, that you can use as a goal, that you can set to, that, you can save, put some money towards, to really develop something that you want. Now, the last thing is one of the most important things, and that is traveling. My wife and I love to travel. My wife is actually from South America, Lima, Peru. So we travel all the time to South America, to Lima, and we travel all over the world. We're actually going to Europe for a month in September, and it's because of Amazon. And I mean, I'll be working remote for my businesses, but the only reason I can do that is because of, this entrepreneurial lifestyle that I've set up. So, I don't want to focus too much on, the things that I have as my motivators. This is really for inspiration for you guys to determine what are your motivators. And you should have a few. You should have something that is really motivating you because it feels good to own that thing, whether it's a car, or to have an experience like traveling. Really have something that's important, like family, So have your motivators. Don't let them be the same as mine or the person next to you. Curate your own motivators that will help guide you along the way, that will help keep you consistent, determined. Those things are important because you'll have up days, you'll have down days, and your motivators are going to give you that extra sauce that you need to really push forward. This is my brand, Success to Selling. If you guys aren't familiar, I have a YouTube channel that is really just focused on e-commerce in general and helping people get through their sticking points, because there's so many different sticking points within e-commerce. There really is. There's, everyone has a different product within a different niche with different competition levels, different profit margins. So that's where I really formulated success to selling, was to curate success, from selling those e-commerce goods. If you guys are in this webinar, we need to establish why you're here and what you're going to get and what the goals can be from this. And if you want passive income, you want to quit your 9-to-5, you want to be your own boss, you want to have that financial freedom, and you want to gain real life skills in the business space. And I think that is one of the most, important things that I gathered from being an entrepreneur, is that, e-commerce is just a starting point, just a runway for you to have you branch off into so many different things that you can do. And, it can generate capital for you. It can build connections for you. It's really just a starting point for you to evolve, scale, optimize, and really grow. So we're going to cover 6 main topics today. And like I said before, there is a lot of information. I probably could spend 5 hours with everybody here going over everything, answering all the questions. Unfortunately, we don't have quite 5 hours. So I'm going to move through things at a pace. Like I said, make sure you guys are writing down, important questions that you have, dropping them in chat. And I'll be reading chat along the way just to see kind of, where everybody's at, where the audience is at. But like I said, make sure you guys take some solid notes. We're going to go over some in-depth product research, some trademark and branding, the cheapest and fastest shipping options, how to use ChatGPT for Amazon. This is a big one. I've implemented it, not just in my e-commerce businesses, but across all my businesses, and it's made a huge difference. List your product step by step. The number one thing that I get asked on a regular basis is, how do I list my product? Or very small, minute details within the listing process, sellers are normally hung up on. So we're going to go over those. And then finally, one of the most important is the top 5 Amazon FBA mistakes that I regularly am seeing people making. So we're going to cover all these topics in detail. Like I said, make sure you guys are dropping some questions in chat. Let me know, if something isn't clear to you, and we can take some time at the end of the webinar to kind of revisit things and go through it again. You guys are going to see right from the get-go, my style is a little different. My strategy is a little different. And what we're going to touch on is really outside the box today. So keep that in mind. And first is in-depth product research. We're going to cover 3 main topics, and these topics are really going to set your product research apart from the rest. When we think of product research, we think of high demand products, we think of low competition, and we think of profit margins. Those are 3 important variables, but so is everybody else, right? So here are 3 variables to set you apart aside from those, from what we just touched on. So keep in mind those 3 variables I touched on, but these 3 variables: a high price point, advancing capacity, and niche expansion. These are 3 topics that we're going to touch on within product research today that I think is going to have you, like I said, thinking outside the box. So for our first topic here of high price point, we're going to give a real life example here. And this example is great because it can really showcase you what a high price point is. Now we have 2 products here. Both are a camera, a dash cam for inside your car. Both of them are within the same niche. Both of them have a similar function. Both of them have the same box size. Both of them have the same Amazon fulfillment fees. Both of them weigh approximately the same weight. So your supplier shipping them, the freight forwarding cost is the same from China or wherever you're getting it shipped from to Amazon. But look at here, there's 2 completely different price points. What's also interesting to see is look at the amount of reviews on the more expensive item, and look at the amount of reviews on the less expensive item, and look at the total amount of sales on the more expensive item. So if you have a product or 2 products within the same niche that are drastically different in their price, but fulfill the same service, and obviously the dash cam that is $259 is more to manufacturer, but it's not exponentially more to manufacturer. So this is a great opportunity to be on the top end of that price point, of that price spectrum within your niche. A lot of people are afraid to be on that price spectrum, on the higher end of it, but you can really leverage Amazon fulfillment fees, that way, and it gives you that leg up for higher profit margins. I've done this for every brand that I've launched with Amazon. I always try and strive for the higher price end of that spectrum, and it really does honestly work. Another important thing is consumer trend reports are really showing that consumers are less concerned with the inexpensiveness of an item and are more concerned with the quality of a product. I mean, how many times have you purchased something and been so disappointed by the quality of the product, you'll never buy from that brand again? You know, and Apple is a great brand, right? If you buy an Apple iPhone or a laptop or whatever, it comes in an amazing box. It has the charger that is perfectly wrapped. You know, it has the cool paper that you peel back. Apple does an amazing job for a reason. Now, I'm sure there's some people in the chat that are like, Android or whatever it is, but you get the point that you have to be at the top upper echelons of that. And you know, Apple is a great example. They are the top, and they also charge the top. And I bet you'd be pretty interested to know what it costs to manufacture an iPhone compared to another off-brand that is exponentially cheaper. They're pretty similar, but Apple really stays on the top end of that price spectrum. Okay, moving on here. You need to make sure to use a product research tool to price yourself against the competitors. Now, this is AMZScout's Pro extension, which has a ton of variables at the top, but one of the main variables at the top that I like is the average price here. You can see it's $262.78 for this product. This is just showing you what the average competitor is selling their units for and how you should be really calculating your profit margins with that. This is one of my most this is probably the thing that I am the best at when it comes to developing a new brand, and that is advancing capacity. Now, you might be confused, like, what is advancing capacity? But long and short, it just means that you have a product that you have in mind. You haven't, maybe you're not even selling this product at this point. You're just doing product research, and you notice that there's a lot of negative reviews around the same problem. We're going to use the dash cam again because it's a perfect product to go through here. There's a suction cup at the top of the dash cam that adheres to the mirror. And a lot of the reviews were people complaining about how the suction cup would give out after 3 or 4 months. And that was a common problem they had. Well, what I would do for this advancing capacity portion is I would go on, I'd reach out to my supplier and I would inquire. I'd say, how can we make the suction cup larger or more adhesive, or how can we make it a clip that goes onto something? We need to change that little apparatus that actually goes onto the window or the mirror to make this product better. And you'll see that some of the competitors who are really killing it, who are really doing well, they've done an awesome job of finding a problem within the niche. Just go into the reviews. You can go into the reviews on any product. You can click on the 1 or 2 star reviews and you can see what people are doing wrong. And then from there, you can really start branching off and being creative. Now, remember this advancing capacity because we're actually going to revisit it and how I use ChatGPT to optimize my Amazon flow. And it's huge. It's a game changer. You basically have to think less, do less work, but you have more results. And chat has just been a game changer in all my businesses, especially Amazon, especially situations just like this. Okay, we're going to move on from advancing capacity to multiple products. I always think about this multiple products theme when I'm doing my product research because my goal is not just to sell one product within a brand. You're taking the time to do your trademark application, which costs money. You're taking your time to create the custom packaging. You're taking the time to get all, the imagery needed for the listing. Use all of that content that you've already paid for, created, and put the time, that sweat equity in, and use that again, on a very related product. So multiple products just means that you have multiple products within your brand. You know, we can look at any one of these brands here. They all have multiple products that they upsell to their customers. We'll take Burt's Bees for an example. Burt's Bees has much more than just chapstick. They have foot cream, they have hair treatment, they have toner, they have all these wipes, they have all these different products that they upsell to their customers outside of maybe their hot selling item. So if you're ever shopping and on Amazon specifically, you know, there are many different features on Amazon, like a brand story, which we'll cover in this webinar in detail, because you have to be utilizing your brand story. Your brand story is going to give you the opportunity to really showcase other products within your brand and showcase them to your customers so that they add it to their cart and then add another product to your cart. So rather than just making that one sale, you could potentially be making 2 or 3 sales just from that same customer. So multiple products. Those 3 variables from the product research, like I said, they're outside the box. They're a little different. I want you to think that way with your journey with Amazon. Don't just go to the same beaten path of I want a high demand, low competition product, because that's what the rest of everyone is doing. So make sure you think outside the box, have a brand that you can have for a long time that sells multiple products. And it's really going to help grow and scale. Beautiful, beautiful. Now, again, make sure you guys are dropping some comments here. I'm going to take a break just for a quick second, just to read a comment or two. Maria just said, how long does it take to register my brand? Great question. I'm assuming you're talking about brand registry. Brand registry through Amazon can be a 24 to 48 hour process. Sometimes it can take a few days, depending on how quickly the brand registry department processes your application. I've had certain brands processed in like 24 hours, and then I've had other brands that they needed more information. So it can take a few days, maybe a week at most, but it's relatively straightforward. Amber said, will this webinar be saved? Yes, this webinar will be saved. I'm pretty sure AMZScout is going to post it on their YouTube as well, for everyone to go through and do it again. Beautiful. Okay, let's go on to the next slide here. I want to keep it going. Like I said, if I didn't get to your question now, don't worry. I will get to it at the end of the webinar. You know, I've allocated some time to really do that for you guys. Okay, trademark and branding. This is a huge piece of your success when you start selling on Amazon. You have to take this portion seriously, because if you don't, you are going to be susceptible to people stealing your brand, stealing your products. It happens all the time for people who don't want to pay for their trademark application, or people who don't want to invest in certain things like their trademark. So name availability. We need to make sure that the brand name is available. We need to see the service class that it falls in. We need to fill out a USPTO application or a trademark application, depending on which country you are. It doesn't have to be the USPTO, it can be from any country. And the importance of brand registry. Brand registry is affiliated to Amazon. They are super, super important. Okay, let's get right into it. And first is the name availability. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to drop in the chat the link to this USPTO website, and this is going to allow you to search to see if a name is available for you to choose for a brand. So we're going to use a dog brace as a product example in this webinar later on, and this dog brace is for dogs who have injured their ACL. I have a dog, but hopefully she does not make a guest appearance on this webinar. She's currently downstairs being bribed with treats right now. But I love the pet supplies niche. I think as a pet owner myself, I will buy anything for my dog at any point, just because, you know, right, I love her. So we'll use this product, but coming back to this, coming full circle, we're talking about the name availability, and the name that I created for this brand was called Dogs Daily. If the link didn't work, I'll resend it at the end. Sometimes the USPTO website has a lot of traffic on it and it won't load. So that happens to me occasionally. I'll make sure, like I said, I'll drop it at the end. And if it doesn't link or if it doesn't work, I'll get you guys figured out here. So Dogs Daily is the name of the brand. You would just slap that in there and click on this button live to see if it actually is available. You need to do this before you reach out to your supplier to have them create your custom packaging, to do all of that. Off to the next slide here is the service class. Now, the service class is the class that your product or niche will fall within. This is really important because the service class will have a number associated that you'll need for your trademark application. Again, make sure that you have your service class associated to the correct class, right? So if you're in the dog niche, you need to make sure that you're not finding a class that sells pillows, because then the USPTO will deny your application. After your service class, you need to go and fill out your trademark application. Now, this is just a very quick overview of what to expect. There are a lot of steps in this trademark application. So the reason I put this USPTO summary is just to tell you, take your time during the application. The USPTO, the US trademark application, is $250 US. It costs a lot of money, so you really want to take your time and make sure you're inputting the correct information. We're moving on to the brand registry aspect of trademark and branding. Brand registry within Amazon is going to be the powerhouse for you when you are looking to protect your brand and have precious web browser real estate. Now, what do I mean by web browser real estate? When a customer is on Amazon and they're scrolling through your listing, A+ content and brand stories are only associated through brand registry, and they take up large portions of the computer screen. And that's the type of world we live in now, where we need big pictures, big text, videos to really capture the audience attention. And that's what brand registry is going to allow you to have access to. So you need to make sure that you get your brand in brand registry. Cannot stress that enough. Make sure you guys get your brand in brand registry. Before I move on, I'm just going to look into chat, answer a few questions. Andre, is there a good trademarking YouTube video we can follow along with? Yes, I have a trademark video on my YouTube channel that I will drop in the chat for you guys. Make sure that you guys don't leave the video right now. Just make sure that you guys save it, like I said, and then come back to it, bookmark it so that you guys have it for a future reference. Okay, here's a nice trademark video from my channel. Drop that in the chat. Beautiful. Okay, moving forward here. The cheapest and fastest shipping. I think a lot of people underestimate how valuable this portion can be. They just think that the manufacturing of their product is what really plays into their profit margins. How much does my product cost? But you have to ship that product generally. And a lot of the best suppliers, we'll call them the best because of their price, they're overseas. So if you're shipping from China to the US and you're using a freight forwarder overseas, you have to make sure that you're getting the cheapest possible price. Okay, so we're going to focus on three main variables that you need for your shipping plan: what you need to ask your supplier, and the difference between DDP by ocean versus by air, and 3 steps to create an Amazon shipping plan. Okay, so we're going to cover those things. I'm seeing here I had a link here also to the trademark application YouTube video. So I'll make sure I send that at the end. It might be through Webinar Jam that it's not loading, but I'll make sure I got you guys covered. I'll drop my YouTube channel in the chat. That way you guys have access to some of these videos. Okay, so first we need to go over the three main variables, which are coordinate with your supplier, delivery duty paid, also known as DDP. You'll hear DDP a lot in your Amazon journey. And lastly, your Amazon shipping plan. So first, you need to ask your supplier these main questions here. These questions are going to help you fill out your shipping application with Amazon. Your first is the ship from address, which is where the supplier will be shipping your products. Next is the type of shipping paper for the box ID label. I know this sounds funny and very peculiar and specific, but Amazon needs that, so make sure you have that. Up after that is the shipping carrier and freight method, whether you're using air or ocean, the number of units per case and how many cases you'll be sending, and the shipment dimensions and weight of those boxes. Now, if I were you guys and you didn't have all these things memorized, I would take a screenshot, I would write them down, take a picture, make sure you have these variables down so that when you're in communication with your supplier, you have everything you need, because the last thing you want is your precious cargo to be in transit and stuck somewhere or sent to the wrong address, or Amazon not to accept your inventory once it arrives. Ryan just asked, is there a limit on how many units I can send to Amazon at once? Yes, there is. It also depends on what type of seller you are and how long you've been selling, what the volume you do. But generally, it's 200 units. 200 units. Okay, on to the next slide here. Delivery duty paid, also known as DDP. Okay, so you'll hear DDP and you should be referring to it as DDP. I've actually said delivery duty paid to suppliers and they're like, what's that? And then I say DDP and then they know what I'm referring to. And this is just basically indicating that the supplier is gonna take on all the fees associated to make sure that your products go in transit from wherever they are going to the Amazon warehouse. If you're shipping things from overseas, there can be tax from the United States or from a different country to get those products past customs. So I always make sure to have all of my products shipped DDP. That way I don't have to think about it. You can go outside of DDP and you can be responsible for managing the transit of your inventory past customs, but it's a headache. It's not worth it. Make sure that you have DDP, delivery duty paid. What happens if they don't accept my parcel? I assume you're referring to Amazon. And this is why you need to make sure your shipping plan is really, really spot on and correct, because if Amazon does not ship it, or excuse me, if Amazon does not accept it, then you're going to be put in a position where you're going to have to forward that inventory to yourself to put a new box ID label on it, fix whatever problem Amazon is not accepting it, or you're going to have to ship it all the way back to China or wherever your products are being manufactured from. So there's a lot of variables that go into your shipping plan, and that's why I wanted to input it here, because it's really important and it's something that people really get stuck on. So make sure you guys have those things written down, screenshotted, take notes on them, and implement these strategies. The last and final portion of this is just the steps that you're going to have for your shipping plan. Confirmed inventory to send, the confirmed shipping, print the box and labels. You'll do all this through your Amazon Seller Central account once your product has been listed on Amazon. I'll say that again just because I get a lot of questions on that. Can you create a shipping plan if your product is not listed on Amazon? No, You need your product actually listed on Amazon in order to create your shipping plan. Now, you may be thinking, how do I create my listing? We will go through that step-by-step tutorial. And really the step-by-step tutorial on listing the product is really focused on the really key small details that will make you be a little bit confused or hung up on something. We'll go through all of that. Before we get into the Chat GPT for Amazon, I'm just gonna quickly take a glance at the chat, see if I can answer a quick question or two. I like to try and do that along the way. So this means if they offer you another kind of shipping, how successful have you been negotiating terms to DDP? Working in supply chain, I have not frequently seen suppliers willing to provide those. Okay, so DDP is tough. What I like to do, this is a great question actually. What I like to do is I like to have, let's say, 10 different suppliers who all manufacture the same product. I like to get a shipping quote, DDP, always DDP, from all 10 suppliers, and then use that as a reference, find the mean, find the average of all those shipping costs. And then let's say if I have supplier A who I really like, and his shipping is $500 for 500 units. And supplier B, his shipping is $300 for 500 units. I'll even take a screenshot of the conversation with supplier B, send it to supplier A and say, hey, supplier B is telling me that he can ship it for $300. I like your product more. I think the quality is slightly better. Both of you guys are saying it's DDP. Can you work on your shipping? So that's a kind of negotiation tactic. You have to remember that these suppliers are willing to make money on basically every aspect of this. If it's manufacturing your product, if it's creating your packaging, if it's shipping, they're going to find different ways to add small amounts of money to your total so that they make more money in the end. So we'll get into negotiating tactics. I think it's probably one of my strong suits just in life is negotiation. I do it basically with everything. The only thing I can't do it with is when I'm at the grocery store buying my groceries, but it's really important to negotiate with your suppliers. Make sure you negotiate. Okay. How to use ChatGPT for Amazon. This is something I'm so excited about. I have to be completely honest, even before I get in the section, I'm not a real big tech person. My wife always laughs because I always have like tech problems where like my page doesn't load or something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to when I use tech. But every single time I use ChatGPT, it's so easy. It almost feels like I'm just speaking with someone who's exponentially more creative and smarter than I am. So it really helps to have ChatGPT. And we're going to go over some of quick ChatGPT tips, how to optimize your product, optimize your branding, optimize supplier outreach, and the cons of ChatGPT too. Like I said, I really like to keep things transparent. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say your first month selling on Amazon, you're going to make $1 million, or ChatGPT has no problems. Let's be real. Let's keep things transparent. That's just the way, morally and ethically I like to be. So I want to tell you some of the things to be precautionary about as well. Okay, how to ask ChatGPT questions in the right way. So you need to make sure that you have backup checks on the information that chat is giving you. You need to make sure that your questions are very detailed, and you need to be interpreting approximations from the information that you're gathering. So let's go into a few quick examples. If I ask chat, what is a good product to sell on Amazon, right? That's probably where your mind first goes, is like, well, let's just have it find me a product. This is what it's going to tell you. It's going to say, I don't have access to current market trends or data to provide an accurate answer to this question. So don't try and just simplify things by saying what's a good product to sell on Amazon right now, because chat is not going to give you a good answer to it. You need to be specific. You need to say, I sell a dog brace, or I want to sell within the pet supplies niche. I want a minimum search volume of 5,000. You have to really give it a lot of details in order to filter all that information and then present something that's going to make sense for you. Moving on here, how to optimize your product. Okay, so we had the dog brace as an example. you guys are just joining, this dog brace that we branded on Amazon is called Dogs Daily. This dog brace is basically to help dogs who have an injured ACL. We saw that it had great search volume, low levels of competition, advancing capacity, it had the price spectrum, had all those variables. So for example, I would just basically say I sell a dog brace on Amazon for dogs who have injured their ACL. Customers regularly complain that the brace does not stay in place once it is strapped on. How can we improve the design to make the strap stay in place better? Again, I did a lot of product research and I saw a lot of the negative reviews were all revolving that the strap does not stay in place as it should. After I typed this in the chat, it gave us a bunch of ways to strengthen the strap, maybe add a strap, use different material. It gave you a bunch of different innovative ways that I literally would just copy and paste and then forward over to all my suppliers and saying, hey, can we implement these ideas, these designs into the product to make it stay in place better? Because all the customers are complaining that it isn't staying in place. Optimize your branding. This is a great example just because a lot of people, I think, struggle with that creative aspect when designing a brand or just curating the brand in general. So here's just a little quick example. I saw a dog brace on Amazon for dogs with injured ACL. I want a brand name for the product that maybe is a little funny and gives the customer a sense of trust in our brand. What are 10 possible brand names that would fit well for this product? Look how amazing these names are. Leg Up Pup, Happy Hound Helper, Positively Supported, Fetch Fixer, Bow Wow Brace. I mean, like the list goes on. This was in 5 seconds that I got all these names. Now go back to the USPTO or whatever trademark site you're using, the search manual, to verify, to make sure that these names are what they should be, right? You know, if they're available. But this is just a great example. And like, be creative with chat. Like in here, I said, I want a brand name for the product that maybe is a little funny and gives the customer a sense of trust. Don't just ask chat, give me a brand name, right? You have to be more creative than that and think as a customer. Because when I saw Positively Supported, like I laughed. I thought that was cute. And when I think of my dog, I think of something cute, right? So that was like a parallel that I instantly made that, you know, worked well. And I can see right in the chat, people are like, amazing. They're thinking of the name. The names are amazing, right? Like the idea is, okay, yeah, use chat, but those names are awesome. So make sure you guys are using chat in different ways to, you know, kind of be creative and stand apart. One of the last and most important ways I love using chat is to have it create a product insert for my product. Now, I asked chat, please make me a product insert that thanks my customer for their purchase, make it funny, and ask for honest feedback. Listen to how amazing this is. Dear Possum customer, thank you for choosing our dog brace to help your furry friend heal from their ACL injury. We're glad to be a part of your pup's recovery journey. As a small business, we really do pause and appreciate your support. We hope our product has been helpful to you as it has been to many other tail-wagging customers. This is just amazing, right? I'm not going to read the entire thing, but like, thank you again for choosing us. We hope your doggo feels better soon and is back to doing zoomies in no time. I don't know about you guys, if you have dogs, if anyone has a dog in the chat, drop a 1 for me. Just type 1 if you have a dog in the chat that gets zoomies. My dog is always getting the zoomies going crazy. So like when I read this, I was like, this is perfect. My dog is always getting zoomies. Like it builds that sense of connection with your customer. And I just speak from experience. When you build a sense of connection with your customer, it really, really incentivizes them to make that purchase. They're just ready to do it. Someone just said in the chat they have a mini Labradoodle. I have a mini Labradoodle. That's amazing. My mini Labradoodle's name is Nina. Drop in the chat what kind of dog you have. I know it's not Amazon related, but we all love dogs, I can tell. tell me in the chat what kind of dog you have. I want to see. Okay, moving on to the supplier template. This is another way that chat can really optimize your workflow and give you some valuable time back. You're going to ask chat to create a supplier outreach for you that covers all the important information you need to know to make sure that your product is manufactured correctly. Can they do custom packaging? Do they ship DDP? All these variables, chat is going to categorize for you. What's the MOQ? All these things are going to be categorized so that you can copy and paste it and send it to as many suppliers as you can that manufacture your product. Very, very, very important. Supplier template. If you guys aren't using ChatGPT to optimize your business, your Amazon flow, you're missing out. It's so easy. Like I said, I'm not a tech person. I regularly struggle. My wife's always laughing at me because I'm always like, what is this error sign? What chat is so easy to use. It's just like a person. Just go right into it, ask your questions, and move forward. Okay, we have to talk about some of the cons associated to ChatGPT because there are a few. And like I said, you can't just ask chat a very generic question. You need to make sure you're really getting specific, and you need to make sure that the probabilistic information you're taking in is taken as probabilistic information. It's not 100% accurate. Not all the information is going to be spot on. So make sure you guys cross-reference the information that you gather from chat. It will optimize your workflow, but it does not mean that it is 100% correct. So please verify the information you get from chat. There's so many ways to do that. And we can go into a few of those at the end of the webinar if anyone has any questions on how I do that, because every question that I ask chat, I do cross-reference. I still save myself a lot of time, but I definitely cross-reference all the information. Okay, we're moving on to the most requested thing that I'm regularly asked, and that's certain little variables within the listing process. So we're going to go over two things you need to get started, and then a quick step-by-step process. I want to keep an eye on the time because I do want time to go over some of the AMZScout tools that I'm regularly using to optimize my flow, as well as some of the gigs we have to offer, and I want to answer a lot of your questions. So let's get into the two things that you will need to list your product on Amazon. The first and the most obvious is an Amazon Seller Central account. Now, there are two different account types that you can have. You can have an individual or a professional. I highly recommend you get the professional account. It's really going to allow you to grow and scale your business, optimize your business in the most efficient way. Just go and get the professional account. You will thank me once you're selling multiple units and things are running a lot more smoothly. The next thing you're going to need is a barcode from GS1. Now, in the past, you didn't have to use GS1. You could have used third-party suppliers, but now you need a barcode specifically through GS1 as they've cross-referenced their database. Okay, so we have a little test account here that I'm going to go quickly through, walk you through this listing process. Click the Add Products here on the left-hand side, and then you're going to click I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. Now, this strategy is specifically catered to private label. We are finding a product that has that advancing capacity, that has the high price point, and then we're creating a brand that has to fit that, right? That's not on Amazon. So I'm adding a product not sold on Amazon. After that, we are at the point where we need to input our barcode. Now, a lot of people get confused by this. Product ID is referring to the barcode number that you purchased through GS1. So when you buy your barcode through GS1, you have to input the name of your brand. So you can see this barcode here. That number will go in the product ID section. I regularly get this question. The product ID section is for the number associated to your barcode. Up next, on the right-hand side, you need to select what type of barcode you are purchasing. As you can see, there's the GTIN, the EAN, the ISBN, UPC, ASIN. They're all different. What you need to focus on if you are in the US, I'll say that again, if you are in the US, is the GTIN or the UPC. For this example, for a 12 or 14 digit, you're either going to be choosing UPC or GTIN, okay? After that, we need to input what our brand name is. Now, we touched on Dogs Daily as the ACL brace. So that is where your brand name goes. And then you see product name. The product name is describing basically what it is, which is a dog brace. For some reason, I see people getting these two mixed up. So I just wanted to quickly clarify that. And then up next, this next slide is going to cover the amount unit count. So unit count is not how many units you are sending to Amazon. This is how many units will come in a package. So if a customer buys a dog brace and the dog brace is the only thing in the package, the unit count is 1. I regularly see people getting confused with that. I just want to reiterate, the unit count is 1. Now for the your price section, this is how much we'll be charging on Amazon, not how much you're paying from your supplier. And the quantity is how many units you will be sending to Amazon. Okay. So like I said before on that previous slide, how many things are in your package compared to how many units you are sending to Amazon. Condition, make sure it's a new. Always want that. It's really important. And then the fulfillment. You can see here, I will ship this item myself, or Amazon will ship and provide customer service. This is really big. FBA versus FBM, fulfillment by Amazon or fulfillment by merchant. I highly recommend you go with Amazon fulfillment, FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. It is going to help optimize and scale your business exponentially. We're going to go into more of that here in a second. If you have your products fulfilled by Amazon or FBA, they then become eligible for Amazon Prime. It's really, really important to make sure that your products are eligible to be a part of Amazon Prime, because there's over 300 million, say that again, 300 million Amazon Prime users. So you exponentially get this huge marketplace of people who are looking, right, for the 2-day shipping, who are looking for that reduction in price, who don't want to pay for additional shipping. So make sure you're using FBA over FBM. Okay, up next is where you're going to be uploading your photos. You'll see this See Image Guidelines. Please make sure you click See Image Guidelines. I can't tell you how important it is to go through all these guidelines to make sure your main image has an all-white background, to make sure that you don't have any guns or blood or violence or nudity. Not that you would, but you have to make sure all those things are really precise, because Amazon will suppress your listing for basically everything that is not up to their standards. And then here are some of the images that we uploaded for Dogs Daily. It's really important that, like I said, you go in, find those requirements, and then if you're using, like a Fiverr service or a third party to create your listing images, make sure you send them the guidelines, because they're going to need them when they're creating them. Like, that's what we did for this, right? Luckily, myself and my wife and I are always doing different branding, because we do all the branding for our businesses. So this was all done by us, but we followed the image guidelines. Very, very important to follow Amazon image guidelines. Okay, up next is the product description. Now I have this, you might be thinking, why would this be part of the webinar? It seems pretty simple, but everyone thinks that the product description is the bullet points of your listing. That is not the case. This is not your product description. These are your bullet points. This is your product description. Your product description actually follows below your bullet points. So make sure that you know the difference, because I've seen a lot of people trying to input their bullet points in their product description. Product description actually goes below their bullet points. Now, key product features. I wish that Amazon would just name this bullet points to make it a little bit easier for everybody. But this is where you will be adding your bullet points, key product features. Okay, this is just pretty much the same thing once it looks kind of organized. Once you keep on adding your bullet points, you'll see it there. Okay, we're moving on to the last portion here. We're making pretty good leeway. I'll just stop for a quick second. I think a lot of the Q&As have been moved to that other portion of the chat. So I'm going to get to those at the end. I appreciate everybody who's been contributing, asking questions, putting a 1 in the chat for if you had a dog who does zoomies. Like I said, we'll get to all the questions here pretty soon. Let's get into the top 5 Amazon FBA mistakes, starting off with analysis paralysis, no branding, FBA over FBM, product research, and reviews. So these 5 are what the section is going to be touching on. I'm going to run through them relatively pretty quick, and I want you guys, like I said, ask any questions along the way, throw them in the chat, and we'll make sure you get to them. Now, when we started the webinar, I asked how many people in the chat have analysis paralysis right now. They are at the point where they can't determine what product they want to sell. And I was pretty surprised. I saw a lot of people in the chat going and saying like, hey, I'm stuck. I haven't been able to, choose a product yet. Analysis paralysis is something that I think everyone faces. I know I faced at first. I couldn't pull the trigger, but it's something you have to get over, and you have to know that you will make mistakes, and you have to know that there's going to be hurdles. Amazon is pretty unforgiving. They're really large, right, with many, many, many sellers. So get past analysis paralysis, step outside your comfort zone, make a decision. Up next is the branding. Like we touched on before, you need to make sure that you have your product enrolled in brand registry, which is going to allow you A+ content, brand stories, which gives you that precious web browser real estate. Now, web browser real estate is so important, like we touched on, because these customers are shopping. They need large text, large pictures, videos. They need to be synthesized. Some little picture of your item is not going to be captivating enough to make that purchase, right? So make sure you guys are enrolled in brand registry. You're utilizing A+ content. You're utilizing brand stories. You're utilizing videos on your listing. You're doing all of those things to really fill up that precious web browser real estate. FBA over FBM. Again, with over 300 active users of Amazon Prime, if you're not using FBA or Fulfillment by Amazon, and you're trying to use FBM or Fulfillment by a merchant, it's going to slow you down exponentially. And there's no way that you're going to have a cheaper price for your shipping than Amazon. I read some interesting case studies surrounding the Amazon space, and I'm always so intrigued to see how much money Amazon spends just to ship all their products. If you guys didn't know this, Amazon spend so much money shipping their products that they lose money in that portion of their business, but have other aspects of their business to make up for it. So just know that FBA over FBM is the way to go. Make sure you're using Fulfillment by Amazon. It's going to help you exponentially when you're trying to grow and scale your business. It's going to be easier. It's going to optimize your workflow. Just make sure you're using FBA. And now we'll get into some of the product research tools that you should be utilizing, because if you're thinking that you can just sell any product without any data that backs that product is worth selling, you're going to find yourself in a very tough position. So use a product research service like AMZScout. I've been partnered with AMZScout now for a while, and they never seem to surprise me with awesome tools. They always are seeming to set themselves apart from the other competitors in the space, and I love that about them. So we're going to go in through some of their tools. I'm going to talk about them. I also want you guys to ask some questions about maybe something, some of the questions you have. But within the product research database, you have the new products tab and the trending products tab, which really AMZScout is categorizing these products within these two sections just to make it easy. You just have to click on the button and it's going to just generate a bunch of products for you to further research and kind of get a feel for, to really see what's inside them, right? So make sure you're using the different tools within the product database, like the trending products and the new products. The Pro extension, probably one of my favorite tools. I mean, they're all really amazing, but I love the web browser extension just because it's so easy, and it's, I can utilize it directly on Amazon, which I feel like is so valuable. And it just goes through all the important information: the average monthly sales, the average monthly revenue, the sales rank, the average price, the average reviews, the saturation score, the niche score. Pay attention to all those variables at the top of that Pro extension when you're doing your product research. I always personally like to take screenshots or download it, and then I'll compare that Pro extension screenshot or download to other products. And I'll see, I'm like, well, this product has a niche score of 6, but that product has a niche score of 7. Which one has a higher profit margin? And that is really how you start, getting very detailed with your product research. Hope you guys are still leaving some comments in the chat here. I'll make sure I get to all of them here at the end. I promise we're coming to the end soon here. The AMZScout Pro extension, like we just touched on, has a few important variables. And someone just asked in the chat, what is a niche score? Well, the AMZScout Pro extension will generate this niche score using really important data like the profit, desired prices, low margins. We'll talk about the demand, whether it's a new niche or it has okay sales. And then we'll talk about the competition, whether it's unsaturated, very few Amazon sellers, very low top brand competitors, a few reviews, low quality listings. All those things are generated together to give this niche score, which is extremely valuable when you need to assess the market at a quick glance, right? You're looking to say, okay, the dog brace has a niche score of 7, but those dash cams, they have a niche score of 8. And the profit margins, they seem higher on the dash cams because I have that price spectrum that I can be at the top of, right? So those type of different variables, you only know when you're using tools like a Pro extension or the product research tools from AMZScout. Here is just another example of how the Pro extension can help you estimate your FBA costs for a better view of your net profit and get an overview of the product history before you take it further. I always like looking at the product history to determine sales volume and price as well. That's really important. And AMZScout lays it all out for you, and it's on top of your Amazon web browser, right? So it's just so easy. You're on Amazon, you're doing your product research. I like doing a lot of product research also on Amazon, and that's why I really enjoy the Pro extension. Some of the other helpful features within the AMZScout platform, really touch on the monthly sales estimator, the product profit calculator. This is by far one of the easiest tools to use that you should be using every single time you do your product research. Even if you don't necessarily like the product, or you're not interested in it, or you don't think it has good profit margins, use the profit calculator. Type in the associated figures to see what type of monetary gain you're going to get from this product. You may have an ROI that's too low, or you may have a profit percentage that's 5%, or you may find that the dog brace has a profit percentage of 45%, right? That's a very high profit percentage that at the end of the day, after all your Amazon fulfillment fees, makes a lot more sense. So make sure that you're using all of those features within the platform. One of the last features of the Pro extension is the suppliers on Alibaba. This is a button directly on the Pro extension that makes finding a supplier associated to your product extremely easy. Now, before I knew of AMZScout, I would go on to Alibaba and I would type in dog brace for dog, right? Something along those lines. And I'm sure there's people here that speak multiple languages. And if you do, you know that languages don't translate directly. So dog brace for ACL does not translate from English to Chinese directly. There's a disconnect. So when you type that in, you don't find the product right away. It takes a second. You have to do a lot more digging. Not with this tool. You click on the suppliers on Alibaba button, and then immediately you see all the suppliers all the suppliers that are manufacturing that product without having to kind of search around, or like I said, kind of have that language barrier. I personally have encountered that a lot when I'm doing product research, trying to find a supplier. I can't find them, but then using this button, suppliers on Alibaba, brings you right to it. Okay, lastly is reviews. A lot of people are not focused on reviews, and more importantly, reviews are hard to get. Less than 5% of customers leave reviews on their purchase. And that makes it really difficult to get them. That means if you have 100 sales, you may get less than 5 reviews. So I want you guys, when you launch your product, to think of innovative ways to get product reviews. One of my favorite ways of doing this is leaving a funny relative product insert in the product that asks for honest feedback. You cannot ask for a 5-star review. It goes against Amazon's terms and conditions. So do not do that. But you can ask for honest feedback, and you can leave kind of like a silly, funny note that you have ChatGPT generate for you. That will take a matter of 5 seconds to say, wolf back with your feedback. We'd love to hear it, like we saw from the dogs daily example. So make sure you guys are focusing on reviews. It's extremely important to rank organically higher in the search results. Last little bit of nugget here. If you're competing on a keyword, let's just say dog brace, right, in your PPC campaign, and the bid for the keyword is $1. And I have 3 reviews in my listing. Someone selling the exact same product and they have 5 reviews. We both bid $1 on that keyword. Amazon will give the search result to the seller with 5 reviews over the seller that has 3 reviews. So it helps you rank organically higher in the search result, and it also helps Amazon push even on your campaigns, right? Even on your keywords that you're bidding on, pushes that traffic to those people. I actually learned that directly from an Amazon associate. I spent many hours on the phone with Seller Central, as much as I can, honestly, because I want to learn, all the different ins and outs, and I ask all those questions. So make sure that you have a product insert asking for some feedback on your product. Make sure you're getting those reviews. It will help a lot. Okay. Now we are to the good stuff. I want to go over the gigs that we have. This is a bundle between AMZScout and myself. We partnered together, and to be completely honest, we really thought long and hard of how we wanted to combine our services because of what we have to offer and how they're really different than what's currently in the e-commerce space. I'm going to say that again. What is different than what's in the e-commerce space is so important. And let's get started with what my portion of the gig is offering. And that is one-on-one private mentorship through unlimited 30-minute individualized calls. So I use a platform called Discord. You can think of it just as Zoom. It's completely free to sign up for. We can message each other, but more importantly, we can hop on a phone call, a video call, just like we're having right now. And you can ask me a very specific question like, hey, I'm in a position where I got denied for my brand registry application. Can you look at what the pictures I sent to the brand registry department and why my application got denied? And right there, you can share your screen, and I can go ahead and look to see like, hey, it looks like you have a picture on your brand registry application that has your logo not fixed to the unit. It looks like a sticker, right? So we can do that through a video call. So video calls, and you have unlimited for 3 months, all within my business hours. So if you wanted to call on Monday, and then another call on Tuesday, and another call on Wednesday, which I have people currently doing right now. I have, I'm mentoring other people right now that we're regularly jumping on calls to go through all the different information to make sure that everything is the way it should be. You also get 3-month access to the private chat. Again, this is through Discord. If you want to send me the information, if you want to ask questions, if you're not comfortable talking on a video chat or through Discord, that's fine. Through a voice call, we can do it through here. We're also including our supplier outreach template and our supplier negotiation template. Now, both of these templates I've generated and critiqued time after time after time. So it's not something that, I just typed into Chat GPT and got one time. I've really kind of seen how suppliers interact with me dependent on the supplier outreach. And then I've kind of like formed and molded it to this perfect kind of outreach that gets the supplier's attention, but doesn't overwhelm them with too many questions. I noticed if you have 50 questions on your supplier outreach template, a lot of them won't even answer. You need to segue into that and kind of build a relationship with your supplier. As well as, like I said, one of my specialties is the supplier negotiation template. This is going to give you some really important cues to utilize when negotiating the manufacturing, the shipping, the branding of your products. It's really important to really get your total cost down. I always tell people this. I always think it's so interesting. If a product is listed on Alibaba for $5 a unit, I've never paid the listed price of what's on Alibaba for a product. It is always less. And I always do that through different negotiation tactics, right? So make sure that you're using those negotiation tactics to your extent, right? So that is a very, very valuable thing as well. Okay, now we're going to get into what AMZ's Scouts portion of the bundle is, and that is AMZ Scout's annual plan toolset. You get the Pro extension, the product database, reverse ASIN lookup, Amazon keyword search, product tracker, keyword tracker, quick view, and seller's course. Total value of $400 there. You'll also get AMZ Scout Insights. You'll even receive top 1% products and niches selected by AI out of millions of items on Amazon, as well as monthly Amazon trend reports covering growing niches, trending products, categories to avoid, and tips on how to beat competition by making simple products, improvements, and much more. I really, really like the monthly Amazon trend reports. I think they're extremely valuable. You need to make sure that you're up to date with what's currently happening in the Amazon space, with what niches are down, with what niches are up, all those things are really important to just be up to speed on. So I really like those Amazon trend reports. And then some bonuses from AMZ Scout, the Seller Hook by AMZ Scout report with ideas, 5 booming categories to sell from in 2023. If you guys have not seen my latest video on YouTube, I did a Seller Hook review. Absolutely loved it, crushed it. We did a nice collab together, and I really like AMZ Scout because, like I said, they're kind of diversifying themselves, setting themselves apart, and we talked about analysis paralysis and how it can be one of those like really challenging aspects of this game, and this is a really good resolution to it. That it actually lays out the products, shows you the data between search volume, profit margins, all those things are pretty much laid out for you to see. Now you can do additional research to kind of reinforce that idea of that product. And then lastly, the Amazon Infographics Secrets ebook, how to attract shoppers and turn them into buyers by acquiring irresistible product listing. That's $100 value there. So for $629, it's valued at almost $7,000. Here is everything you're going to get from the one-on-one mentorship through the private phone calls, the supplier outreach template, all the different AMZ Scout annual plan tool sets, and the AMZ Scout bonuses. Everything is here for you guys to take a look at. And even on this next page, we have a QR code for you guys to scan. Now, I want to open the floor to a bunch of questions. I want you guys to ask as many questions as you can about the gigs, about the services we offer, also about maybe some of the topics that we covered in today's webinar. I covered a lot of information, and like I said, I wanted to do something different. I wanted to stand out from people in the past and really give you an authentic look to what you really need. So I'm going to go and open the floor to some questions. Looks like there's quite a few. So if I don't get your question, just be patient, and I'll go through them one by one here. Okay, do you have info on how to get labels to vendors and how to post product? Uh-oh. Looks like that question just disappeared on me. I'm sorry. Andre, is there a good trademarking YouTube video we can follow along with you? I'm pretty sure I saw someone, I believe Maria dropped it in the chat so that you guys have that. How much should I invest in my first product, including shipping? This is a great question that I want to take a second to cover and to touch on because, no one's really made of money. And whenever you're starting a business, that upfront capital is so important. So I think investing between $1,000 and $2,000 for your first run on Amazon is a really solid place to start. Let's say you have $20,000 in capital that you want to invest right away. I actually encourage folks not to start with that much capital because you're going to have some hiccups. You're going to have some hurdles you need to overcome. You're going to have some setbacks. It's just inevitable. It is part of the game. Even if you're mentored, even if you have the best course, there's going to be problems that are outside of your control. Like I said, Amazon may deny your brand registry application, which delays the manufacturing of your products, etc. Things happen. So I always tell people to start between $1,000 and $2,000 as a good starting point. I'm not saying that you can make $10,000 a month off of doing that, but it is a great starting point to have. Good question. Good question. I attempted to apply for brand registry, inputted my serial number that was issued by USPTO, but it was immediately denied. I have a site. Any tips on how to approve when waiting on trademark completion, and can we apply a second time? Great question. Yes, you can apply multiple times to the brand registry department. What you should do is open a case with Seller Central in regards to the case ID that was created when you filed your trademark, when you filed your brand registry application. So you file your brand registry application, they give you a case ID associated to that brand registry application. They denied you for a reason. Let's say they denied your serial number for whatever reason. This happens once in a while, and what you have to do is you have to have the trademark serial number receipt. After you file your USPTO application, they will send you a serial number receipt. You'll have to save that like as a PDF and then forward that to Amazon. This has actually happened to one of my brands where they didn't accept the trademark application serial number, and it was because they couldn't verify that it was mine. So I had to send the receipt associated to the USPTO application, and that helped with that portion. I hope that helps with your question. Is there a limit on units I can send to Amazon? Yes, 200 at once as a new seller. We answered that before. Please guide. I sold pet supplies food, but I have no proper source. Can I buy from China? That is a good question from Talit. Hopefully I'm saying your name correctly. Talit, you can use the Find Suppliers on Alibaba from the Pro extension on AMZScout. That's a great way to know if you can source that food from China or source a similar food with similar ingredients. From Rebecca. So this means if they offer you another kind of shipping, I assume you're referring to the DDP, and you just want to make sure that you ask your supplier to have the goods DDP. If you do that and they agree to that and you have that in a contract, you will be fine. You won't have to worry about your units being held at the port in the States or wherever you live if you're not in the States. Okay, question from MC Boda 1. Do I use AMZScout to figure out what brand to set up, what niche? Yes, you can use AMZScout to figure out. Okay, let me reread your question. I'm sorry, I might have misread it. Do I use AMZScout to figure out what brand to set up, what niche? AMZScout is going to have that seller hook option that's going to give you those products, and they're going to be within those certain niches. So yes, they are going to help guide you to get you the exact product that is going to be within a niche. In terms of creating your brand, that is something that we could do through the mentorship. I can give you some creative ways to develop a brand. Let's just say you're in the pet supplies niche and you want some creative names. We can work together. We can, I can make sure that you're doing your search correctly through the USPTO if you're in the US. So yes, good question. You would get get the niche and the product through AMZScout, through the seller hook, and then I could help mentor you through creating that brand using imagery, other aspects. Another question from Rebecca. Can you do a bundle product with 2 different suppliers? Great question. This is a great question. Yes, you can. In most cases, what will happen is one supplier will send the inventory to the other supplier. Let's say, for instance, you're selling the dog brace and you're selling a leash. And one manufacturer makes the leash and one makes the dog brace. One manufactures the leash and then sends it over to the supplier that manufactures the brace. The supplier who manufactures the brace puts both products in the same box, so they're, as one unit, and then sends it off to Amazon. Great question, Rebecca. Good question. Brandon, I have 2 Cocker Spaniel poodles, 2 Harley. Okay, hey, gotta have dog love in the chat. Nice, Brandon. Like it. Like I said, Nina is being well behaved. She's currently downstairs, probably being bribed by treats right now to not come and interrupt me. Normally she comes and puts her paws right here when she's looking for some love and attention. How much does it cost to get a product line set up? This is a great question, and it's really dependent on how many products you have in your line. I like to say, I always like to have a few hundred at minimum units in my Amazon inventory at all times. So let's just say you're making around 25 sales per day on an established ASIN. That means that I need at least minimum 500 units in Amazon inventory at all times. So I'm regularly sending units. And now let's say you have 3 products within a line. That means you would need 1,500 products at Amazon at one time. If each product costs you $10, right, you would just compute that number from there. So realistically, to have a line of products under one brand, a minimum you need $15,000 in capital to make it work and flow, right? You don't want to run out of inventory at Amazon. It hurts your listing, hurts your ACoS, hurts all those important metrics that are responsible for your profit margins at the end of the day. Good question there. Will you help us every step of the way till we launch the product? Rebecca, great question. Yes. And beyond launching the product, after you've launched the product, I encourage a lot of my mentorees to stay with me so that we can regularly assess their PPC campaigns to make sure that their ACoS is low, to make sure that we're targeting the right keywords, to make sure that we have targeting on other competitors' listings with a cheaper price. Every single step of the way, I am there for you. Even after you launch your product and you're making sales and you have questions, that is what I am there for. If someone jumps on your listing and you have to go in and file a claim with brand registry if someone trying to steal your listing, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for you for every step of the way for the mentorship. Another question from mcboda1@gmail. How much to set up a brand yourself on average? This is a great question. And, a trademark application in the US is $250. A sample is, let's say, depending on the product, could be $100, $75 to $100. It all depends on your product. So you need at least $500 to really get your USPTO application in, to get your sample in so you can take pictures to send it to the brand registry department. Minimum of $500 just to get everything kind of situated. I don't think $500 is honestly enough to send that much inventory to Amazon and then kind of have them selling your units and then paying you that money in return that customers are paying. It takes time for Amazon to process the money that you make. I think it's kind of interesting when people start selling on Amazon. You make a sale, the money doesn't come to you directly. It has to sit into your account for a while, and Amazon also takes out of that fund your PPC budget as well. So there's a lot of moving parts that come into it. So you need at least $500 to curate a brand, right? That's between your imagery, your branding, your USPTO trademark application, all those things. A lot of great questions. You guys are coming with some really good questions. I'm honestly enjoying this, and I can tell that you guys are passionate. You're finding your why. You're into it. That's important. How much to invest in my first product launch? Great question. Again, Maria, I would highly recommend $2,000, $1,000 to $2,000. I always tell people, $2,000 is a great starting place, just because it's going to allow you to, really generate that trademark application. It's going to allow you to get a sample from 1 or 2 suppliers. It's going to allow you to get your imagery done if you wanted to send your product off to someone on Fiverr, somewhere like that, to have them take pictures of your product so you have a very professional listing. Then you have to order your units, and then you have to pay for shipping for them to get to Amazon. $2,000 is a good starting place. Got a question from Ryan here. Don't get a professional account or else you'll pay $40 right off the bat. I was told to start off with the individual account and then upgrade once you begin selling. Ryan, everyone has the right to their own decision. I can tell you that I am regularly mentoring people who are selling their first product. They've never sold on Amazon, ever. And within their first week, they're selling more than what it would cost to have that individual account, right? So an individual account charges you per unit to sell. A professional account doesn't charge you per unit to sell in that regard. So within the first month, I'm having people who are selling 80, 100 units within their first month with small PPC budgets. So that right away, that individual account wouldn't make sense monetarily. Again, it's all up to you, right? If you want to start with the individual account to kind of get the gist of things, to feel things out, because it is a little bit cheaper at the beginning, I totally understand. I personally encourage people to get the professional account, especially with the results I've seen. People are selling more units than makes sense for that individual account. Again, great questions. Really appreciate everyone dropping in some questions. Everything's looking good here. Question from info@bizofwarhub.com. How do you purchase a UPC GTIN company code for the first 6-digit identifier, since every company must have their own company code, correct? So you have to buy your UPC or GTIN, they're one and the same, from GS1. The way it works is when you purchase your barcode from GS1, you have to input your brand information into GS1, and then Amazon cross-references that information from them. So Amazon is in contact basically with GS1 to gather the information to make sure that you purchased your barcode for them. I hope that makes sense and answers your question. If you have a follow-up question, make sure to send another question. Excuse me. It's amazing the difference. Had a mug listing FBM, no traction for months, sent for FBA and sold 25 in 3 weeks. Hey, this is a prime example of why FBA is so powerful over FBM. You have to think, Amazon wants you to send your units to Amazon. They want their units in their facility because they charge you a storage fee. They charge you the fulfillment fee. They make more money by having your units in their storage facility, and they're going to push your listing harder. So I've seen that with other people. I have always done FBA ever since I started selling on Amazon. So for me, that's just the way I've learned, and I've helped other people. I'm actually helping someone right now who's in Atlanta who has an eyelash accessory company. So they have like eyelash glue and stuff like that, and they won't leave FBM. They don't want to send all their units to FBA, and I keep on telling them. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this actually, and I'm going to send it to them and let them know that it's worth it. You really need to utilize FBA. Amazon's infrastructure and their optimization is unmatched. It's amazing. Okay, CSL Chan. How many units, boxes containing a number of units, or units of products? How many units? I guess you're asking how many units can you send to Amazon? It's dependent upon the size of your units, but 200 at a time. And that shipping plan is going to allow you to see what box size you need to choose, etc. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel that goes through a step-by-step guide for the shipping plan. Highly recommend you go on and watch that. If you have any other questions, leave a comment on that. A little bit more specific with your question. I'm sure I can help you out. What is the cost for establishing a brand? We had a very similar question to this earlier in the question part, and I just want to let you know that it's really dependent on how you're really trying to scale and bring it up, but a minimum of $500, absolute minimum. I would encourage you on the higher end of around $2,000. How much investment to start Amazon? Maria, we had this talk a little bit earlier. Should I invest $5K in my first product? Again, I like to encourage people, around $2K. Let's say you invest around $2,000 and you have 200 units or 150 units, 100 units at Amazon. And within the first 2 weeks, we start selling a lot of units. We start making 7 sales a day, 12 sales a day, 20 sales a day. We're going to get right on the phone with our supplier and we're going to order units and we're going to airship them probably to get them there on time so that you don't run out of inventory. That is when we can then up the amount of capital that we're using. So instead of $2,000, you can go to like what you said, $5K, $5,000. I always like to start around $2,000. You also really want to build trust between yourself and your supplier. I always do this thing where I try to befriend my supplier and really just be so friendly with them and ask them questions outside a little bit of what the product is, because I want them to like me. I want them to respond to me on time. I want them to take me seriously. I want to build that relationship rather than just some American who's trying to sell on Amazon. You really want to try and curate a relationship with your supplier. Mike C. Gary had a question. How do you use ChatGPT to improve your listing? Definitely have to rewatch part of the webinar. I don't want to go too much in detail just for time's sake, but we talked about how it can help create your listing, how it can create product inserts for your products, how it can actually have that advancing capacity for your product. That advancing capacity is a really big one. That's if you see a common problem with a product, you would type that problem into ChatGPT, and then it's going to generate a response to say how to fix that problem. We gave the dog brace that the strap wasn't staying in place. We asked Chat, how do you fix it? Chat came up with some really creative ideas on how to fix that strap to make it adhere tighter together. Question, is this for your own branding or using brands that already have a big market? Sorry, I'm at work. No worries. This is for your own branding, private label. I highly encourage you guys to go into the private label space. You want to create your own brand. It's just so much more fulfilling. You get to be creative. You can sell your brand in the future. You can upsell other products that you create, right? It's in my opinion, this is all opinion. I'm sure there's someone in the chat that it feels that wholesale is a better methodology. I personally believe that private label is the best. What would you say is a major problem when picking a product? From William. William, a great question. I would say a major problem would be profit margins. I think a lot of people see search volume and they think search volume is the end all be all to determine or identify a good product. And you have to know that search volume is just how much something is searched, and profit margins is how much money you'll make. So I would actually rather be with a product that has a better profit margin than a search volume, just because I'm not looking to be in a very competitive space more so than I am making more money. So a major problem is people focusing on search volume rather than profit margins. Leah, I asked earlier, but brand registry is where I'm stuck. Apply for trademarks, still pending or received serial number. When I applied, measly denied it. Like I said, we touched on this earlier. Make sure you open a case idea associated to that brand registry application and ask why. You may have to show proof of purchase of your trademark application. That's what I had to do at one point with one of my brands, and I had to save the PDF from the USPTO that had my serial number on it, forwarded that over to the brand registry department, and that worked. So hopefully that works, Leah. What is your timeline for launching your first product? This is from Ayah, A-E-Y-A-H. I am so sorry if I did not pronounce your name correctly. I'm not the best with names. There is no timeline for launching your product. I think that is one of the most important things you can try and lock into your brains, that if you put a timeline on something, it never works out that way. Some suppliers are faster than others in manufacturing your units. Sometimes you want to use air shipping over sea shipping. Sometimes there could be a default in your product and you have to send it back. There's so many different variables that I always tell people don't have a timeline. Now, I'm not saying to be quote unquote lazy and not worry about whether your supplier is manufacturing your products. You should be pushing things as much as you can, but don't say in 2 weeks, I'm going to be launched on Amazon. The brand registry could deny you. Your GS1 barcode could not be registered with Amazon's database. I've seen that happen with one of my Patreons before where their GS1 barcode was not being recognized by Amazon, even though they purchased it through GS1. So what we did was I went in and saved the file, the PDF file of their GS1 certification, and then forwarded that over to Amazon. And then Amazon approved their barcode for their listing, right? That took like 6 days because Amazon kept on denying it. So we had to be creative to kind of find a resolution to that problem. CASS, C-A-S-S. If I do FBA and I have the supplier ship my merchandise to Amazon warehouse, will Amazon inspect the merchandise and make sure everything is there? That's why I would prefer FBM and get everything shipped to me to make sure everything is good with the merchandise. Great question. I have two suggestions for you. One, through Alibaba, you can have a certified check on the inventory before it is shipped. This is performed by a third party. I've actually had this done for my own products because I was building that relationship with the supplier. It is relatively expensive. I think I paid $300 USD for this. So it's not cheap. Make sure that you budget for it, but it is worth it. Your second option is on your first run, you can send the inventory directly to yourself. Then you can send it into Amazon. So, ship from China directly to yourself, from yourself to Amazon. Once you build that relationship and that trust with your supplier, you can just have them ship from China directly to Amazon. Samples, lastly, samples are a really important thing that you should keep in mind is that you should be getting samples from your suppliers to ensure that the products are what they are. I can't tell you how many times I have ordered a sample, let's say for $60, $70, $80, $100, and the product was terrible, but it was advertised differently. Like I was sent pictures of something that it was not. And then when I got it as a sample, I was like, this is not going to work. The box was dirty. The thing was broken, whatever it was. And I knew not to use that supplier. So those are some good answers for you. Okay, does AMZScout help in finding local distributors in USA, Canada, Mexico region? This is a great question that I do not know 100%, but I believe they do to an extent. And what I can do is I can get back to you on this. Send me a message, leave me a comment here on YouTube, and I'll get that answer for you. If not, one of the AMZScout moderators can answer that for you. That's a great question. Niche score. We touched on what the niche score was previously in this webinar. I'll just give you a little quick synopsis. That's basically AMZScout is curating this number based off of profit margins, demand levels, competition levels, for you to have a quick glance to see, how quote unquote good the product is. Next question from Ryan. AMZScout is the best, my friend. That's all I will say to you. Have you tried SellerHook? Will you recommend it? Yes, I have tried SellerHook. I did a review on it on my channel. Absolutely loved it. I thought it was great, super concise, very detailed, very easy to interpret the information. I also think it just gives you like a really good ability to see the foundation for product research. A lot of people are like, what's a good search volume? What's a good competition level? What's a good review amount? The SellerHook report gives that to you. It gives you that foundation, that skeleton, so you can see kind of what it looks like, and then you can kind of, on your own go in and do further product research or just use one of those products directly. William, how would you know you can put your own label on a product? Would this just be through communication with the supplier? William, great question. That is in the supplier outreach template that I am offering. And ask those questions. Hey, are you able to print my logo on my units just on the custom packaging? What kind of printing abilities do you have? Can it be metal printed? One of my products has a metal printed logo on it. It's expensive, but it's worth it because the product is high quality. The product costs $67 on Amazon. So I don't want a screen printed logo on there. I want a metal printed logo that my customer can touch and feel and actually like has substance to it. Can my seller do the insert or do you print it yourself? Good question. The seller can do it for you. You just send it to them. That's what I do for all my products. I just send the seller, I send the supplier. I think that's what you mean by seller. I send the supplier my product insert and they put it into each one of my product custom packaging. What does that mean to bid on a keyword? mcboda1@gmail. That is a great question. Amazon has a pretty intricate bidding system for their marketing. So I'll just give you a very brief description. If we are selling the dog brace, right? This is the dog ACL brace, and a customer is wanting to find this brace for their dog, and they go on Amazon, they type in dog brace for ACL. That is a keyword phrase is what we'll call it. Or you can just say dog brace, one keyword. As a seller, I am finding the highly searched keywords within my niche, and then Amazon is making me bid on that keyword to outbid other sellers who are selling the same product. So if seller A bids $1 on that keyword and seller B bids $1.25, seller B will win the bid and their product will show up to the customer when the customer types in that keyword. Amazon makes an exorbitant amount of money through this marketing strategy, through this bidding system. And that's what we kind of touched on before. They lose money in their shipping because of how fast they're shipping all these products, but they make up for it tremendously in other ways, especially through their marketing. You have to pay for keywords. You have to bid for keywords, and you don't have to. You can run different PPC campaigns like product targeting. Product targeting is a PPC campaign where I have my listing show up on another competitor's listing in the related product section. So if you're on Amazon, excuse me, and you're scrolling on a product and you scroll just slightly past the bullet points, you see products related to, these are products related to the product you're looking at. All those are product targeting campaigns where people are paying to be on that page. Thanks. What's his Instagram? I'll drop my Instagram for you. I want to make sure the links are working, but I'll drop that Instagram for you as well. Bidding on keywords for your products to be found in search. Exactly. You got it. So we got here. Oops, sorry about that. Hello, I'm struggling when sending my product to Amazon facilities. This is my second time that Amazon rejects it and returned back to me. And the only thing I get from DHL is that Amazon states that some info is missing and nothing else. I usually want to send my product to keep selling it. I highly, highly, highly recommend you watch my shipping plan. We touched on this earlier. This is a prime example, guys, of why it is so important to make sure that your shipping plan is very accurate and detailed. So go in, make sure all those details, it could be anything. You could have the wrong box ID label. You could have the wrong information. Go on and watch my video on my YouTube. That will help you. Christina asked, is the calls with you? Yes, the calls are with me directly. You'll see me right here in my office. We don't have to have the video portion on if you just want it to be just through voice. We are also on chat through Discord, but it is with me directly. Ryan, Andre, you said you're willing to get into your business. I'm willing to work with you if you show us some proof of your success to selling. 6 to 9 is a lot of money for someone I don't really know well of their experience. Ryan, I totally understand. If you're looking to see my personal information of my businesses, it's a little hard to show you, but I think what's important to take away from this question is to get honest feedback on what I've been talking about. I think it's a little hard to mention all the small details of what I've mentioned from your USPTO application and all the things that I've talked about here if I haven't been through them and done them myself. Outside of e-commerce, I have a fitness company that performs in-home personal training. I have a media production company that performs content. So I'm pretty diversified in those things. If you wanted to see my social media handles or something along those lines, that would be a good outlet for you. If you wanted me to send you a screenshot of my Seller Central account with how many orders I have today, I could do that as well. Something along that lines. But in terms of like bringing you live into my Seller Central account, there's so much data and information and personal information that I can't blur out just because this is live that I'm not comfortable with, and I don't think many people would be. Are all our questions going to the Q&A tab? How many products to start when you begin? One product when you start. It's very, very important. Just start with one product. There's going to be so much information going around that you really want to make sure that you're not overwhelming yourself. If I do FBA, fulfillment by Amazon, not FMA, and I have a supplier ship my merchandise to the Amazon warehouse, does Amazon inspect my merchandise? We already answered that question. How do you package your product? William, this is a great question. I always like to stand out with my custom packaging. So I'll always ask my supplier to manufacture custom packaging that is not in a brown box that looks like it comes from China, right? Even though it says made in China on the back of the box, that's fine. I always have that printed small. You want to make sure that you have colored box, that everything is very nice, neat, and clean. Make sure you put some time and energy into your packaging, and your supplier will do that for you. Do we get to talk to you or your team? You get to talk to me directly. Do you have our brand items in order to be a seller on Amazon? You do not have to brand your items to be a seller on Amazon, but I highly recommend you go in that way just because it is going to be a much more it's going to yield much more success rather than just not creating a brand. If I order product from Alibaba, I need to order packaging additionally and then send to Amazon. So they package my product before sending it to the customer. William, the supplier who manufactures your product will be in contact with a packaging manufacturer, and they'll get your custom packaging and they'll package your units for you and then ship it to Amazon. Amazon is not going to put your units in your box. Maria, how much do you need to sell your product to make 10K a month? This is a great question. I actually have this lined up for you guys. Hopefully you have your pen and paper. I hope you guys are still here. I know it's been about an hour and 50 minutes, but this is one of the most juicy things. And I want to show you how realistic it is. So in order to make $10,000 in profit, this is not revenue, this is profit per month. Let's take a $40 product. That is an average price of a product on Amazon that I would recommend selling. I also recommend you find a product that you have a 30 to 35% profit margin. So if you take 35% of $40 and you take that number, now you divide that number by your 10,000. So 40 times 0.35 is $14. You're going to need to sell 23 units a day in order to make $10,000 a month. But remember, if you sell 23 units a day, you do not touch one box, you do not want to touch one shipping label. All that is done for you. What does my profit margin need to be to make 10K a month? We just answered that right around at 30, 35%. How to find authentic and authorized supplier for wholesale FBA products. Make sure that your supplier is verified, is a good thing if you're using Alibaba for some of those mainstream products that you want to wholesale. Verified. How did you get started in e-commerce? This is a really interesting question. I actually got started in e-commerce with Facebook dropshipping a little over 5 years ago now. Yeah, it was about 5.5 years ago. I started with Facebook dropshipping. I did $60,000 in 1 quarter with Facebook dropshipping, and then Facebook shut down my account and withheld $18,000 from me. So we talk about ups and downs, and there are plenty of them. That is one that happened to me, and I knew right there. I mean, I made so much money in such a short amount of time that I gathered that capital, and I wanted to move into something that was a little bit more professional, a little bit more streamlined than Amazon was at. If we give you a few options, can you tell us which item you would pick and tell us which one to sell and be blunt about bad choices? This is from Christina. Absolutely, 100%. This is what I'm constantly doing with my Patreons, is saying that is not a great product because it doesn't have great profit margins, or because it has too much saturation, or because you don't have any good branding techniques to have that advancing capacity, or it doesn't have that room to upsell other products along it. So yes, you definitely get that. Ooh, tell me what is right. What can be the hot products now? So many hot products right now. There's so many crevices to be filled within the Amazon space. You have to join, grab this bundle right now to get that answer. Okay, coming to the end here. When does 3-month mentorship starts? It starts as soon as you sign up and then runs for 90 days. 90 days after starting a launch. Thank you so much for hosting this. Thank you guys so much for coming. I really, really, really do appreciate this. Maria, where can I buy your mentorship? If you use the QR code right there, it will bring you right to it. Are you an Amazon guru? Who are you? What's your experience? You know, an Amazon guru is a tough question to answer. I think what I am is an individual that delivers realistic expectations and realistic advice. And my experience is I quit my full-time job and I'm an entrepreneur with many things to show from it. You know, Amazon is not my only business, but it is a strong presence in my earnings because I consider it passive income. You know, my media production company, I am working with a camera in my hand, but my Amazon business is generating me money on the side while I'm doing my other businesses. My first USPTO cost me $6,000. What state did you get it in is my question. I need a supplier in US to give a winning product for sale. Everybody. Okay, coming to the end here. I think I found a product you sell. Magnetic spice jar. Is this correct? It is a good product to sell. Starting, wow, over 1K reviews. How do you get this many reviews? That is not my product. Not my product. I'll be transparent with you guys and tell you that it's not my product. What is your YouTube? Success to selling. If you type in success to selling tax exemption, one of my videos will pop up. Maria, the mentorship is actually through the QR code here. Good question. Cass, so if I pay the $629 today, you will walk me through every single step and how to start my Amazon store and even until the launch of my first product, and I get a 30-minute call with you whenever I need your help. Exactly, Cass. That is exactly it. Like I said, we're doing something outside the box. This is not a regurgitated course. It's individualized. You call me with your question and I will answer it, and we will make sure that we get you set up. Can we use your suppliers or recommendations? I do not trust Chinese people. I'm Korean. Well, I can give you some recommendations, and I always encourage you guys to use verified suppliers. Do I need to have a business license to start selling on Amazon? Great question. You do not quote unquote need one, but I highly encourage you to get one. For Maria again, we will work together on your mentorship and guide me through every step and problem solving. I will 100%. I look forward to working with you. If I do the calls, can we do Zoom? We like your handsome face. Christina, I appreciate the compliment. I am married. My wife is, she's always around. Yes, we can do Zoom, or I prefer Discord. Discord is how I have all my mentors who I communicate with. Again, guys, I want to lastly just touch on the refund guarantee of 10 days. If you get your Seller Hub report, if you use the Pro extension from AMZScout, if you get my calls and you're not happy with them, you can get a refund after 10 days, which is pretty amazing. I can guarantee you that you will be impressed by both of the bundles and you guys will appreciate them. We have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions. We've been on now for almost 2 hours. I feel like we've been dropping some awesome information for you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying this. Do I have to get trademarked in order to sell on Amazon, or does that not matter? You do not quote unquote have to, but I highly encourage you to, because it is very important to protect your brand as well as have a lot of those important variables like being a part of brand registry, which gives you A+ content, which gives you brand stories, which gives you that precious web browser real estate. I'm going to jump back into the chat for a question. Is there any payment plans? I'm kind of broke, but I want to work with you. Christina, I am sorry. I do not believe there is any payment plans, but I will tell you that some things are worth allocating some capital towards. You have to set some money aside, save for a little bit, make sure that you're ready. Buying the mentorship as we speak. Cass, I look forward to seeing you in the mentorship. We'll be talking, I guarantee you, every single day. There's always questions that you'll have at some point. So, don't feel free. I always tell people in the mentorship when they first join, they're kind of hesitant, like, how many times can I message you a day? Message me all day. I have business hours that I do post, so you'll see those. But message me as many times as you need to in a day. And if it works within my business hours and I have the available time, we'll jump on the call. I'm jumping on calls with people every single day. Every single day I'm jumping on calls, so that is available. So Maria, buying the mentorship now as well. I look forward to seeing you. Like I said, send me as many messages as you want. We'll get you going in the right direction. Well, guys, I think this is going to be it for me. It's been a long day. I'm on the East Coast here. It is coming upon 9 o'clock now, and I have an early morning tomorrow for my fitness company. I have to wake up early, and I'm probably going to have to answer some of these new questions. I look forward to meeting those who have purchased in the mentorship program. If you have any other questions, please make sure to drop them down. Also, find us on YouTube. Thank you again to AMZScout for hosting me on the webinar, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Keep crushing it with Amazon. Talk to you guys soon.